Good morning, Squirrel Tribe. So we have at least 95 people who have died, and there's still thousands missing. This is according to officials across 6 different states. The officials believe there could be more. So far, state and county officials have said that 36 people have died in North Carolina, 25 people in South Carolina, 17 in Georgia, 11 in Florida, 4 in Tennessee, and 2 in Virginia. Hundreds have been reported missing, perhaps unable to leave their location or unable to contact family, with phone and internet service still spotty in some hard-hit communities. This is following Hurricane Helene. There has been a lot of destruction, and it seems to get worse every single day. You would think that the hurricane itself would have been the worst part of it, but it's the aftermath of the hurricane that is causing the most issues. My husband and I actually drove 5 hours on I-10 East to come pick up a friend who was, I'm going to use the word stranded, but it couldn't find a way back home to where we live. So we came to pick him up, and driving down I-10, we could see just in that area of Tallahassee where all of the trees were down and the billboards were down, signage was down, even they had fields of solar panels. Those were all messed up. You had areas in the road where trees had hit and had like broken the concrete on I-10. And that's just where we could see from there. If we had gotten off and gone into the cities, we would have seen a lot more, but you could see just that far in on I-10 in Tallahassee that the destruction was definitely severe for the places leading up to there, not to mention everything that went past. There's videos of so many issues right now. I know parts of Interstate 40 flooded, went away. There's bridges that are gone in Tennessee. There is right now in Asheville, North Carolina. It says here, the city of Asheville has announced that nearly 100,000 residents may be without access to water for weeks. Listen, you can go days upon days without food, but water is essential to life. Now, back in the day, I would have said this is why you need life straws, because those things are supposed to filter out all the disgusting parts. I don't even know if those would work with hurricane water though, but hopefully there is somebody going to help. I know Donald Trump is actually going to, I believe it is Valdosta today, to talk to reporters there and take supplies for people in Valdosta, which it got hit very hard in Georgia. But here in Asheville, North Carolina, they have announced that nearly 100,000 residents may be without access to water for weeks following the tragic and catastrophic floods caused by the remnants of Hurricane Helene. Now, according to this came out maybe a few minutes to an hour after that original numbers where I said 95 people died. This came out a few minutes or an hour later. It says the devastation has already claimed over 103 lives and more than 1,073 people are still missing. And it says here that there's people, storm chasers, that are out on the scene providing assistance to those affected, including distributing supplies, offering warm meals, and utilizing Elon Musk's Starlink satellite to help restore communication in the impacted areas. So Starlink is being used in a lot of these places where power lines are down. You're not going to be able to get internet service or anything like that. So Starlink is able to come out and set up and help people be able to get some sort of connection to people outside of these areas, right? Which is amazing. Our government's not doing shit, but you have Elon Musk and his ability to connect the people back to where they can get in touch with people. So this is Asheville, North Carolina, like literally underwater. And that's crazy. I was just talking to my husband about it maybe a couple weeks ago, how I would love to go there. I wanted to see it in the fall. Never been to Asheville, North Carolina, and I thought it would be absolutely great. And I wanted to go. And now, if we go, it's going to be to help repair, because clearly, it has been destroyed. The interesting thing here is that at the exact same time that you have this issue going on, you have Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, and other places that are experiencing historic devastation. And your president, although he did mention on The View that he has delegated his powers to Kamala Harris. I don't know if anybody caught that on The View. I can't show you because they copyright everything from The View and they'll yank the video down. But on The View, when y'all forgive me, I haven't had breakfast yet. When Joe Biden was on The View last week, I believe it was last Tuesday or Wednesday, he made the comment that he has delegated his powers to Kamala Harris for foreign policy and everything else. A couple days ago, she was at a rally in Las Vegas for herself, trying to drum up votes, right? Instead of out and about helping the people that got hit by this hurricane, she's in Las Vegas and she's telling them, we need to keep them in our thoughts and prayers, and she's keeping them in her thoughts. And I'm like, ma'am, how about you keep them in some sort of money to help them out? But even she mentioned that she'd had a FEMA briefing and everything else. And the way that these two were talking, you would think that with Joe Biden using the word delegate, that she is the acting president right now, because Joe Biden over numerous times has called her President Harris, not Vice President Harris, but he's called her President Harris numerous times over the last few months, and that says a lot, and we have to pay attention to that. There is always the possibility that they have literally written him out and moved her in, and they didn't tell us. They don't have to tell us anything. They should, but it doesn't mean they have, right? When he uses the words that he has delegated all his powers to Kamala Harris, that should pretty much tell us everything we need to know. So this is where Joe Biden is, you know, during these historic hurricane events. And Kamala Harris, at the same time, Vice President Kamala Harris in San Francisco for sold out fundraiser. This was on September 28th. So instead of helping the people, she's at a sold out fundraiser to help her campaign. The vice president, the same woman who wants to be the president of this country, instead of out helping the people, visiting the areas, she is at a fundraiser making more money for her campaign. You think she's going to turn around and spend that campaign money on helping the people of the United States who have been affected? No. You have so many issues right here that it's absolutely crazy to me that we are where we are. Like the destruction that I have seen everywhere from this hurricane. Let's see if I've got this here. So I want you to hear this. I want you to hear this.
$1.4 billion package of security assistance.
Wait, come back. Listen.
To announce a new $2.4 billion package of security assistance. We're giving them all everything that we have. We're on the ground ahead of time. So we're working hard.
Are there any more resources the federal government could be giving them?
No, we have pre-planned a significant amount of it, even though they didn't ask for it yet.
Okay, so Joe Biden is very hard to understand. We know that. But he, in the very first video, he says we've given 2.4 billion aid to Ukraine. Okay, versus at the very end when he says, you know, we pre-planned and we sent a bunch of trucks and things out to help with the destruction. She said, are you going to do anything else? He said, no more aid for the hurricane, basically, is what he said. He mumbled through it, but he said, no, we've given them everything ahead of time, even though they didn't ask for it. Even though they didn't ask for it, like he did something, you know, out of the goodness of his heart and they should be grateful. Bro, you are in theory the acting president of the United States. It is up to you to keep the citizens and the state safe. So acting like he did a favor to the cities and the states that they sent out the extra power trucks and the tree trucks and the everything else, that bothers me. But he has no problem giving $2.4 billion to Ukraine. Tons more. So much has gone out there. But he has an issue with now helping the residents in the areas that have been affected. So this one here, like I've got so many different things. Look at this video. Do you see this video here? Look at this. That is absolutely crazy to me how strong that hurricane was that came through. We had dams that broke in North Carolina, and I think in another state, and I cannot remember where right now. If it comes to me, I'll mention it randomly in the rest of this video. So according to this, this is Washington's Ghost. This is a page or a channel or a thing on X. I don't know what they're supposed to be called. It says, has the president even issued a statement on any of this yet? Have agencies like FEMA been deployed yet? I'm seeing a ton of videos of people having to do it themselves because they've been abandoned by their government, but that's too busy giving billions to other nations. And it's true. I mean, all the videos that I am seeing, I don't see FEMA trucks anywhere. I see neighbors helping neighbors try to figure out how to get out of the situations they're in, whether it's out of a flooded house, whether it's off of a street that's partially collapsed and they're trying to figure out how to get to the other side. There was a video in Atlanta. It was live. It was a meteorologist that was out and he was telling everybody about the storm and the flooding. And some woman drove into the flooded area. Number one, I feel like that's on her. You can clearly see it's a ton of standing water, but she drove into it, got stuck in this water, and it's like rising. It's like up to here inside her car, and she's scared and whatever. And this meteorologist, he walked during the live stream over to get her and carry her back out of the water because, you know, he did what was needed to be done to save somebody. And I think that although social media and the news want to show how divided we are as a country when it comes to the politics right now, Democrats versus Republicans, and it does definitely feel like we are, I think if we look around at what's happening around us, and I've said this before, you're going to see more people willing to help each other, whether they are Democrats or Republicans. A lot of the time, it's just people helping people. Because when things like this happen, a natural disaster like this happens, it is up to us to keep each other safe, up to us to keep each other going, because our government could give two shits about us. We don't help them. Saving us doesn't help them. Giving money to Ukraine puts money back in their pockets. That's why they help them. We're not paying them to help us, so they don't really care about us. But I think that's something to remember, that our own government would be more willing to help everybody but us versus helping us. Now, this is something, let me see what this one is. There's so much, like I said. So this is what I was talking about. So President Trump is announced a visit to Valdosta, Georgia to distribute relief supplies in the wake of Hurricane Helene and deliver remarks to the press. Some have been asking where he is. Well, he's out helping people before he even gets elected. Where are Kamala and Biden? They are both sitting, acting president and vice president, and they're not doing anything to help anybody but themselves. My husband asked me last night, because Laura Loomer posted, you know, she wishes that Trump would hurry up and get out there and help the people. And I remember how the Democrats were so mad that he gave a woman some money who was buying groceries. They're like, oh, you can't do that as a candidate who's trying to become president. You can't give things to people because then it's like you're buying votes. And I'm like, wait, but they had no problem with Kamala Harris giving abortions away for free outside the DNC. They had no problem with Kamala Harris giving vasectomies outside of the DNC. They had no problem with Kamala Harris giving money to get people into the DNC, but they had a problem with Donald Trump giving a woman $100 to help her pay for her groceries because inflation is so flipping high thanks to Biden and Harris. Okay, make that shit make sense. So when he's mentioning last night, he's like, you know, Laura Loomer's like, I wish Donald Trump would go ahead and get out there. I'm like, maybe he's worried about it because the second he goes to help, heaven forbid, he spends his money to bring in water to hand over to people who need it or bring in blankets or food or anything else. The Democrats, the left, are going to jump on him like he's done something bad, that helping people is doing something bad. They're going to think he's trying to buy votes when in actuality, he's the only one of the three of them, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, who actually gives a shit about the people. And that's why he's there, not to buy the votes, because he doesn't need to. He's got the votes. He knows he has the votes. He wants to help the people. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, all they care about are the votes for Kamala Harris. They don't give two shits about the people. Anyway. So this says here, President Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America, and 47 in my opinion, will visit Valdosta, Georgia to receive a briefing on the devastation of Hurricane Helene, facilitate the distribution of relief supplies, and deliver remarks to the press. That is happening today at 2 p.m. because today is Monday, September 30th. That is happening today. Now, Valdosta, we drove through Valdosta all the time. I'm pretty sure when we were leaving Georgia to like go to Orlando and places like that, we would drive through Valdosta. Everything's underwater, and it's not clean water. You know, it's muddy hurricane water. Everything is underwater, and that is absolutely horrific because we saw after Hurricane Katrina how long it really takes to pull communities back from these things. Even Hurricane Michael, Hurricane Ian, those to me were awful, but they were not nearly as devastating as Hurricane Helene. This one is on the scale of Hurricane Katrina with the lives that are lost, the massive levels of destruction from the Gulf Coast all the way up into the almost the Midwest, but not really. It's a little over to the right, like Virginia. But still, the destruction is absolutely, I mean, it's still just flowing water. Like, how do you stop that? How do you put an end to this? It's I have no idea. I want more than anything to get out there and help people, but I personally wouldn't even know where to start. Send money, send supplies, but how do you help people get their homes back? That's my question. The people that should be there, FEMA, National Guard, things like that, I don't see them. I don't see them anywhere in any of these videos, any of these pictures. We passed tons and tons of vehicles headed towards Florida when we were evacuating for ourselves and headed, west. And we passed tons of vehicles that were going out to help, but we never passed anything that was National Guard. We never passed anything that said FEMA. We never passed anything that would have been government relief. We passed the companies that were going to help, the electric companies, the tree cutting companies, things like that. It's crazy to me that our government is not doing more to help the people. I mean, look at that. And then in Florida, you have cars that are now literally buried in sand after the hurricane went through. First, it was water goes away. Now it's salt and sand these cars are buried in. It is the weirdest looking thing. It's like somebody started to build a parking lot, shoved cars in it, and then finished building a parking lot. And now they're like a forever attraction. That was crazy to me. I don't know if you guys have seen that, and I don't have a picture for it, but that to me was like, whoa. Now, this here killed me. So there were people on social media, like if you got on social media, whether it was TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, even all these different outlets, X, you had people saying, I have family here and I'm trying to get in touch with them. Does anybody have a way? I can't get in touch with, my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my kids, my whatever. I had people commenting on my videos that they've been waiting to hear from people they haven't heard from. And this one here, like, I cannot even imagine. So this one, Asheville, North Carolina, so more than 1,000 miles away from the deadly destruction brought on by Hurricane Helene, there's a woman named Jessica Dyer Turner, was begging on Facebook for someone to rescue her family members because they were stranded on top of their roof in Asheville, North Carolina, surrounded by rising floodwaters. Now, this is one of those situations where it's like, I don't know that first responders are out like that during the flooding. Like, are they in the boats trying to get to the people? It's not like they can have helicopters out because of the wind. So this is a very hard time, because right now is when you are relying on probably your neighbor who might have some sort of floating mattress. I saw videos of people floating on mattresses down the street, or people who happen to have some sort of little boat or something that can fit people. But this woman, she said that the people on the roof were watching 18-wheelers and cars floating by. But then in a gut-wrenching message, she updated it that help did not arrive in time. Look, I'm an emotional wreck sometimes when it comes to stuff like this, because it hits me because I haven't been through a hurricane, right? But the thought of losing my family, just, I can't even imagine. So this woman says that they didn't make it in time to save her family. So both of her parents, who were in their 70s, and her 6-year-old nephew, they were on the roof of this house, and the roof collapsed and they all drowned because there was nobody to save them. And it's like, gosh, because you think, you hear that these hurricanes are coming, or these natural disasters, and I'm going to do this because who knows if it's, the government or if it's actual natural disasters these days, because they can do anything and destroy anything they want. We know they can make the tornadoes, they can make lightning, they can make the storms, they can make anything they want, right? But you have people who hear ahead of time that there's some sort of destructive thing headed their way, right? But not everybody can just pick up and leave. It's not feasible for everybody. In Florida, one of the hospitals in Tampa, I believe it was, used these water barriers. I don't remember what they were called, but they were putting up these fences that were water barriers, gave up to like a 15-foot water surge, and it kept the water from hitting the hospital. And my thought is, if these exist and these are there, why is our government not spending the money to surround these towns with these things? Like, they're willing to give billions of dollars to other countries, but they're not willing to equip our schools with safety systems that, would prevent children from getting murdered. And they're not willing and able to spend the money to protect these areas from these natural disasters or whatever that are coming through, when we do have the technology and the resources to do so. Because again, not everybody can leave. It's not free to pack up and leave your home and flee a storm that's coming through. It's not easy if you're older and you're on some sort of, maybe you need oxygen, maybe you have all these other issues. What if you are handicapped or something? What if you just have a very large family? Like, there's so many reasons why people could not leave. And now you have I cannot imagine how terrifying this was for everybody who involved. And to be the people on the roof, the grandparents, knowing that they can't save their grandchild, come on, like, absolutely awful. And instead of our president and vice president saying anything or doing anything to be helpful, they are out there trying to buy votes for the November 5th election. Like, what absolute pieces of shit, in my personal opinion. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I do not like to get emotional and stuff, and I try not to very hard, but sometimes it's not possible when you see what's going on. And then you have in Aurora, Colorado, which we've talked about numerous times before, the Venezuelan gangs, and you have the mayor, the mayor asking for help, and the governor in Colorado saying that this isn't real, it's not true. Then you have the videos that are out from the police, from the Aurora Police Department. I'm not gonna show you the whole, I'm not gonna give you audio because then YouTube will take this down, but you guys can see there that they are literally out and about. They are doing these things. Those are pew-pews from their car and whatever. So then the police chief comes out and says that they arrested 4 of these Venezuelan migrants, technically illegal immigrants who are here illegally, brought in by Biden and Harris. They arrested at least 4 of them and it's hopefully these same ones in the cars, but they said for numerous shootings, unsolved shootings, they've been linked to now. Our country is going to shit, and our sitting president and vice president are at the helm of of it all. Like, they are literally opening our borders up for everything. They are knowingly, willingly giving all of our money away to other countries, knowing that we need that here to survive in our own country, to take care of the citizens in our country. If we had not given so much money to Ukraine and other places and spent so much money on these illegal immigrants that they are allowing through our borders by foot, by bus, bringing them in by airplane, giving tons of money to Haiti to help over there, instead of doing all that, we could have saved these people who died during the hurricane, because there would have been the money to use towards resources to save these areas from flooding, to save these streets from falling apart. Now you have people who are literally trapped because there is no way for them to get across these now moving just rivers of hurricane water and debris. Now they can't get out, they can't get water, there's no electricity, there's no food, and you have men and women and children in there who are just being left to their own devices because our government isn't doing shit to help them. Ugh. Listen, not the positive vibe Monday video I plan to bring you guys, but not everything is hunky-dory and not everything is, fine and dandy. And we need to remember that under the current administration, this is where we are. Just in general, not even just because of the hurricane and all the issues after it, but just in general, our economy, our housing market, our job market, our illegal immigrants just being overrun status of cities here, like all of it under this administration. Why would we want this for 4 more years? That's the part I don't understand. You have Joe Biden saying he has delegated his powers to Kamala Harris, meaning she has the ability right now to make all these changes. She keeps talking about Donald Trump did this and Donald Trump did that. Bitch, he has not been in office for 4 years. Everything that has happened has been because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And if she wanted to fix anything, or Joe Biden wanted to fix anything, guess what they could do? Fucking fix it. They could have fixed it all along, yet they refuse to, because then they can't blame Donald Trump and try to make the American people feel like it's his fault that we are where we are. But then they don't want it fixed. They like the way things are going because they want to be part of this one world order, this whole one government thing that the UN and World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum are all trying to push. Everything that's going on right now is not for the benefit of the United States. It's for the benefit of the people in charge. It is for them. It's never for you and I. It's never for our country. It is always for the people at the top who want to make the money and have their name and power. I don't want 4 more years of this. I do not want 4 more years of this. We have 4 more years of this, we are screwed. Kamala Harris as president will get us all nuked. There is no doubt in my mind that this country will completely crumble if Kamala Harris is president. No other sitting, acting person in charge at any other country, whether it's a king, a president, or whatever, everybody has something of their own, right? Nobody's going to take a cackling hyena seriously who has no clue about policies or how to fix anything or do anything. They're going to destroy us if she is at the helm. The best way to save this country is to vote for Donald Trump. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, the best way to vote to save this country is to vote Republican. At the end of the day, take the names of the people out. Take Harris out, take Trump out. Not like that. That's what they would like. But take their names out of it. Take the names out of the equation, and it's just Democrat and Republican. The only way to save this country, vote Republican on November 5th. Or early voting if you have the ability. So Squirrel Tribe, that's that. Thank you for letting me have the whole entire conversation here. Woosah. And I will be back with more later on a hopefully lighter note. I gave myself sweaty palms because I irked myself just talking about everything and showing you guys everything. Not to mention there's this massive biolab fire in Atlanta that is just as bad, if not worse, than the East Palestine, Ohio whole entire debacle February 3rd, 2023. Thanks to Norfolk Southern and the people in East Palestine, Ohio, who willingly released the chemicals from that train derailment into the ground and then willingly set them on fire and then caused that massive issue. You have the same thing going on right now in Atlanta with this biolab that has been on fire for who knows how long. And the smoke is absolutely awful. They had an evacuation. They evacuated numerous people. And even today, there's videos coming out and it's just, you can't see more than 5 feet in front of your face because the smoke is so thick from all of the chemicals that have been burning into the air. It just, ow. I just want one silver lining thing. One silver lining thing. I'm going to find it. I'm going to bring it to you guys later. I love y'all. Don't be mad at me. Don't shoot the messenger. But we needed to have this conversation. So that's that. I hope you still have a good Monday. I love y'all. Okay, bye.